The most important fact about Epictetus in this episode is the one the evidence does not establish. The supplied record never names him. It does not document his enslavement, his treatment, his release, his teaching, or his influence. So the dramatic journey promised by the title, From Torture to Triumph, cannot responsibly be narrated as verified history from the material available here. That is not a satisfying opening if you came for a heroic rise, but it reveals a pressure you probably face every day, the pressure to turn incomplete information into a confident story. A headline supplies the conclusion. Repetition makes it familiar. Emotion makes it persuasive. Soon, what merely sounded plausible begins to feel like something you personally know. The decisive force behind Epictetus's supposed rise cannot be identified from this evidence, nor can the description of him as the most influential philosopher in Rome be tested. Influence would require comparison, testimony, circulation, students, institutions, or consequences. None appears in the supplied material. Confidence cannot replace those missing links, however compelling the expected story may be. What can be established is much narrower. The Roman Empire dominated the Mediterranean and much of Europe, Western Asia, and North Africa during the classical period. Its territories had largely been conquered under the Roman Republic before they came under permanent single-person rule following Octavian's rise and the establishment of the Augustan Principate in 27 BC. The record also describes a political world shaped by conflict. By 100 BC, Rome had extended its rule from the Italian peninsula across most of the Mediterranean and beyond. Civil wars and political struggles severely destabilized it. Octavian defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra at Actium in 31 BC, after which Rome conquered the Ptolemaic kingdom in Egypt. These facts establish scale, conquest, centralized rule, and instability. They do not establish where Epictetus stood within that world. They cannot tell us what happened to him, what constraints he faced, or how his ideas traveled. The Roman backdrop is supported. The personal biography is not. Keeping those categories separate is the first useful practice this incomplete story offers. You use the same distinction whenever a manager sends a short message that reads, "Can we talk?" The observation is a meeting request. The judgment might be that your work has failed, your position is threatened, or someone is angry. Your body can react to the judgment before any of those possibilities has become a fact. This does not mean your fear is foolish. Uncertainty has consequences. Employment matters, relationships matter, health, safety, and justice matter. A disciplined judgment does not demand emotional numbness, and it does not tell you to ignore evidence of harm. It asks you to stop adding certainty where certainty has not yet been earned. That restraint is difficult because the mind dislikes an unfinished account. It searches for causes, villains, turning points, and endings. Digital platforms intensify the urge. A fragment arrives with a confident caption. Other people react immediately. If you pause to ask what is actually known, you may feel slow while everyone else appears decisive. But speed and accuracy are different achievements. The source pack presents a perfect test. The title contains slavery, torture, triumph, influence, and Rome. The evidence supports Rome only in a broad historical sense. If we converted the rest into scenes, motives, or quotations, vivid narration would hide a basic failure. The story would be stronger than its foundation. So begin tomorrow morning with a 2-column note. On the left, write given. On the right, write added. Under given, record only what you can directly observe or reliably verify. Under added, record predictions, interpretations, and fears. Do this with one situation already occupying your attention before the day has properly begun. Perhaps the given is that a client has not replied for 3 days. What you added is that the client dislikes the work, intends to leave, and will damage your reputation. Those outcomes are possible. They are not yet interchangeable with silence. Once separated, the practical question becomes clearer. What respectful follow-up can you send today? The exercise is not positive thinking. You are not required to replace a frightening invention with a pleasant invention. Everything will be fine may be just as unsupported as everything is ruined. Instead, use a smaller sentence. This is what I know, this is what I suspect, and this is the next responsible action available to me. In the moment, use a 3-step pause: fact, judgment, choice. First, name the fact without dramatic adjectives. Second, name the judgment your mind has attached to it. Third, choose an action that remains appropriate, even if your interpretation proves incomplete. That might mean asking a question, preserving a record, apologizing, waiting, seeking advice, or setting a boundary. Suppose someone criticizes you during a meeting. The fact is not automatically that you were humiliated, rejected, or exposed as incompetent. The fact may be that a specific objection was spoken in front of specific people. Your interpretation deserves attention, but not immediate coronation. Ask which part is accurate, which part is unclear, and which response serves the work. If the criticism is unjust, disciplined judgment does not require submission. You can challenge an error, document misconduct, involve appropriate support, or leave an unsafe situation. The purpose of the pause is not to make you passive. It is to prevent the first surge of anger or shame from choosing your method before you have chosen your aim. This is also why suffering should never be converted into decorative inspiration. Even if a fuller source pack established brutal treatment in Epictetus's life, pain would not become good merely because something meaningful followed it. Harm remains harm. A person's later achievements do not excuse abuse, eliminate grief, or prove that every victim can transform suffering through attitude alone. Practical assistance belongs inside a life of careful judgment. If you need medical care, legal protection, financial advice, community support, or mental health care, seek the relevant help. What is yours to decide includes whether you gather sound information and contact qualified people. Self-command is not the fantasy of needing nobody. At midday, examine one claim that has changed your mood. Ask 4 questions. What exactly was said? What evidence supports it? What would disprove it? What action is justified now? Notice how the final question prevents inquiry from becoming endless hesitation. You are not waiting for perfect knowledge. You are matching the strength of your action to the strength of the evidence. At night, review one moment when expectation outran reality. Do not prosecute yourself. Write a brief reconstruction. I received this information. I interpreted it this way. I felt this emotion. I took this action. Here is what I would repeat. Here is what I would change. The purpose is rehearsal, not punishment. Repeated practice can create a modest but consequential transformation. You may still feel the first flash of alarm, resentment, or excitement. The change is that you become less likely to build an entire future inside that first reaction. A little space appears between what arrives and what you declare it means. Within that space, better choices become possible. This does not guarantee calm, success, or protection from other people's decisions. The Roman record itself describes conquest, civil conflict, and concentrated political power. Conditions no private mindset could simply wish away. Inner discipline does not erase external power. It helps you recognize reality more accurately and decide how to meet it without unnecessary self-deception. Zoom out, and the central issue is not whether you control events. Often you do not. The issue is whether you treat your first judgment as final. You can examine a conclusion, revise a plan, admit uncertainty, and choose conduct consistent with honesty and care. That is a real form of agency, though never an unlimited one. And this brings us back to Epictetus. From the supplied evidence, we cannot verify the torture, the triumph, the rise, or the claim of unmatched influence. The responsible ending is not a manufactured legend. It is an honest boundary. The biography remains unestablished here, while the temptation to pretend otherwise has shown us something important about our own judgment. The next time an incomplete message, alarming headline, or confident voice offers you a finished story, pause before lending it your certainty. Ask, what has actually been established? What have I added? What action is both possible and responsible now? Stoicism. Master your judgments. Practice what is yours to control.